Hi, Donnie. What you got here for me today?
Well, this is a Chladni Plate,
Okay.
which basically allows us to visualize sound.
Oh, that's cool. What do you mean by that?
Well, it works using something called resonance, which is basically when sound passes through some solid materials, depending on the shape of the material, what it's made out of, and the frequency of the sound, it can resonate with the material, which causes it to vibrate with the sound. So with this plate here, which is made of plexiglass, when we play frequencies from this sine wave frequency generator and impart them into the plate through this speaker connected to the bottom, it'll cause the plate to vibrate. And because certain parts of the plate vibrate more than other parts, if we put a powder like this metal filament on the plate, then we can actually see the patterns caused by the vibrations.
So,
Okay.
how do we set this up?
Well, first we're going to flick this on, and this is a very old vacuum tube frequency generator. Again, you don't actually need this. You can just use anything that'll play noise through a speaker. You could use a Bluetooth speaker with your phone, an MP3 player. But I'm using this because it's cool.
It is cool. It looks like it's from like the 1940s or something like that.
It is, I think, about from like the 50s, so not too far off.
All right. So you have some iron filings here.
Yes.
What happens when you pour it on?
Well, let's see.
Oh, it's making noises.
Okay, so I'm just gonna put that right on there.
Oh, whoa!
Now you can already see this plate, it does about 3 different patterns depending on the frequency. Right now it's at the lowest frequency, and you can see it's kind of like a rhombus shape. You have these little corners around the edges.
It's kind of curved almost.
Now what's happening in the middle here, you can see the filaments are kind of standing up.
Why is that?
This is actually unrelated. Most Chladni plates, you're not going to see this happen. The reason it's happening here is because the speaker is creating a magnetic field. There's a magnet inside it, and this is a magnetic iron filament. And this is actually accidental. I was making a plate, I was trying different things, and I discovered this, and I thought, oh, this is cool, I'm gonna keep it here.
Awesome. It's kind of like Bob Ross. It's a happy little accident.
Yeah. If we slowly adjust this, not only will we see the pattern change, but we might see the dancing begin to happen.
Okay, I see how it's moving all about around here.
Yeah, so when it's sort of in between resonant frequencies, it'll become more random, and the powder will bounce around everywhere.
Oh, I see that, because now it's no longer a line, it's spreading out.
Right, and it also falls off over time naturally, so we can just add more to keep it visible.
Okay.
So we're slowly turning it up
I noticed
to
it's
a
getting
higher
bigger in the
pitch.
middle,
Now we're going to begin, we can already begin to see the second pattern form.
Oh, it's curving a little.
This is why I called it mustache music. If we get it just right, we'll see a mustache. There it is.
It's a mustache!
Yep. But from here it looks like a mustache. Yeah, the reason you see the pattern is because parts of the plate are vibrating really intensely while parts are remaining kind of still, so the sand gets shaken off onto the still parts. So maybe when the middle dances, that's just because the middle is vibrating more.
Gotcha. And it's vibrating more, but it's staying right there because it's magnetic. Okay.
Right. And if we keep going up, there's one more pattern that we can get at a higher frequency, which will actually resemble sine waves a little bit. Let's see. Now we can see.
Oh, right there!
Yeah. And you'll notice it seems to be working better on this side. That's probably just because of a very slight imbalance in how level it is. If it were perfectly level and perfectly smooth, then it would be essentially parallel. So you can kind of see it forming over here.
Yeah, cool, and it's curving there and there.
Right, you have the lines here and then the little horns or whatever here.
Yeah, that is so cool. So how did you come up with this idea?
Well, I was just kind of looking around at different ideas that already exist. This is a pretty old thing. It was originally invented in the 1800s, and the first iteration used a violin bow to create vibrations.
That is so cool.
And you could do that if you want to, but it's a lot more difficult. So a speaker is the much easier, more convenient way to do it.
That's awesome. So if we were doing this with just regular sand, would it work?
It would. You would not get the magnetic effect, but you would still get the main pattern effect. And when I was making this, I actually experimented with a lot of different materials. Salt, sand, coffee grounds, even black pepper, which was not good. And depending on what kind of material you use for the plate, it doesn't have to be plexiglass. It can be regular plastic, metal, or ceramic or glass. Certain powders might work better. If you use a thicker granule, like a larger granule, then it might be harder to see a more distinct pattern. But if you go too fine, like flour, then it might be too sticky and not really vibrate enough freely. So I found that the metal iron filament, in addition to producing the magnetic effect, also worked perfectly with this plexiglass material to get patterns to appear.
That's so super cool. You've convinced me. This is a super awesome experiment. How would I go about building this at home?
Well, there are a few different things you need. Overall, it's pretty simple.
I'm going to turn that off just because it's a little bit of a loud noise.
So there are a few different materials you need. One, you need a speaker, and you need something to actually play sound to the speaker, like an MP3 player or your phone or whatever. You need a plate, which can be any material. And the cool thing is, depending on how you cut the plate, whether it's square or round or some random shape like a star or something, you will get different patterns that appear. So you can experiment with different shapes, and you'll see different things. And then you need some kind of powder. A lot of people will use sand or salt by default. Those usually work well. And then to make it, there are two ways you could go about it. I taped a speaker directly to the plate. That might not work very well with a normal speaker. This is kind of a specialized frequency generator.
I remember we bought it online or something, right?
Yeah, we went online, we just ordered it. And the rest of this, well, except for this thing, the rest of these are just common materials. This is just to contain the mess. This wire is just hooking up this to the speaker. So, but to connect it, normally what people will do, you'll take a bolt and you'll bolt directly through the center onto a scaffolding which is connected to the speaker. And it's important that you only bolt through the center. You can't clamp it down, you can't screw through the edges, because if you have anything touching the speaker or connected to the plate rather, not the speaker, which is preventing it from vibrating freely, then it won't work. It needs to be able to shake around, because if you're touching it, then you're stopping the vibrations.
That makes sense. That's awesome. Well, thank you for showing me this, Donnie.
Yeah, no problem.